Oh, well, welcome to season 2 of Let's All Feel Better.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. How exciting. Yay. In our same old digs, but with refreshed exercises and energy and mindsets and stuff like that.
Yeah. And it's a hot one today, so.
It's a hot one. Yeah, so Liz has got some really exciting things that we're going to jump right back into, I think. I think it's a great idea.
Absolutely. And we are Liz Kiefer.
And Kalista Parrish.
Yeah, that's just in case you're coming in to listen to as a newbie. So yes, today we're going to talk about, my love for reading books and interpreting them, and then just sharing the
Thank
gifts.
goodness, because I could not possibly read as many books as you read, Liz, and so it's so awesome to have you read them for us all, and then let us.
And this one is a favorite. Thank you. It's my obsession to interpret and share. So this is a book that I listened to on the way up to our lake house. So I had a 5-hour drive, and it was amazing. And it's called Whole Brain Living, and it's by Bolte Taylor. Here, we'll put the cover of the book up on the screen for all of you who are watching us. So this is just so cool. So this woman is a neuroscientist. She's this brain scientist, right? And she had a stroke. And when she had a stroke, basically the left side of her brain went offline. And the left side of her brain, the left side is the analytical side, the linear side that, calculates, and often referred to as the male energy side, because it's just that it's logic, reason. And the right side of the brain is intuition, creativity. It has a different purpose. So her left side of the brain, which controls language, communication, went slowly offline. Like she could watch it, just because she was a brain scientist. She understood what was happening. Oh, my left side is leaving me, and it left slowly, so she could document it as it went. And what happened was she ended up experiencing zero fear, because she had no more ego left. She had no more sense of self where different, I'm me and you are you. And all she had was, we're all one and we're all happy and we're really blissful and I really want to stay here. But eventually she's like, I can't live here forever. I need to be able to speak to people. Slowly she regained all of her mental facilities. So, but the outcome is she now has absolute control over what part of the brain she decides to use. She is not, it's just amazing. She can choose how to think. And so it's really great to listen to her. You should listen to this book. She's so creative and so smart, but then very funny. So she's come up with this exercise, which I want to share with you. It speaks to the actor in me and all of us, where the brain has 4 different characters. And so we're going to go through those characters, and I had mentioned these to you. So we're going to share what our characters are, because each character is like a different personality. It's complete consciousness. It's like a person that lives in your brain, and there's 2 on the left side and 2 on the right side. So it's important to name them and to have a relationship with them. So here's what this is. The first character number 1 is the control aspect of your brain, the manager, the one that character number 1 prepares for the sky might be falling, so we must prepare. We must get all of our everything in order. And so it gets you to work on time. It makes sure that you're disciplined. It makes sure that you have balance in your life, and whatever it is. That's when it's doing its job, when it's being valued, and it has a job to do. When it's out of balance, and out of control, it literally is out of control, and it starts to dictate. It become a general, a dictator, and can control the world. So I called mine my inner Hermione, like kind of Hermione on crack. Like when you get so obsessive that you have to control everything around you. Right? So given that information, this is my interpretation of it too. So, it's the Liz. What does that resonate? Do you have a number?
Oh yeah, I had my number one, the controlling and possible dictator, is the character of Leslie Knope from Parks and Recreation.
Oh, that's fabulous.
And she gets a lot of stuff done, but also she doesn't allow for other people's will. KNOPE, yeah. Okay. But she doesn't allow for other people's will, and if anyone, it's all these, it's overly controlled. Perfect. So that the over control makes it so that it's out of control. The over control makes it so that you can't possibly live up to that, but otherwise it, gets a lot of stuff done, so there's
absolutely it's
the positive of the control freak and the out of control freak.
Okay, so yours is Leslie Knope. I just so love that. It's important to have a personal relationship with this, and it can be clever. It can be.
It was funny. I was having a hard time with that one because I was like, I kept kind of going to people I know, and it's like that. I don't want to do that, and instead I was like, oh, yeah, that thing where it's like, oh yeah, it can be great to be in control and be.
Oh, my character hard. Number one is why I succeeded in the acting world. I mean, sure. I kept structure and discipline in my life, and in an unstructured
career
profession. So character one for me is like my go-to girl. She is my girl Friday. That like when she's working for me, wow, life flows. But I can make life miserable for my children when my character one goes, my Hermione goes psychotic on them and starts dictating all these rules about time management. I mean, they want to boot me out of the family. Okay, I love that. Okay, because we're going to use all this. So it's important, if you're listening, to just think of an energy, or if something comes to mind, or you can use characters from books or movies or people in your own life. You have a principal in your life, teacher in your life that was, oh no, he is my one. Anyway, see what comes up for you. But we're going to take this further. So now we're going to move to character number two. And character number two is the fear factor. It's the firefighter in your life. It's the one that takes over when there really is fight or flight. There's danger. And so, of course, we need our character number two is your superhero. That is going to, let you know to flee. This is wrong. This is a bad street to be walking down. And so that's when it's valued and in balance. Out of balance, absolutely out of control. So if character one was preparing for the sky to fall, character two is the sky is falling all the time. and so can be paranoid, and then go into vindictive, and the dark side of number two is superhero gone crazy. My name is Scarlet, and it started out as Scarlett Johansson, the Black Widow. I was like, ooh, the Black Widow who goes rogue. But when I dug deeper, it really became Scarlett O'Hara. She was the perfect egocentric. It's all about me, ripping down the curtains and, I'm going to do anything it takes to get what I want and keep me safe. Anyway, so that's my number 2. What do you have for number 2? What comes up for you?
I have the Red Queen from Alice in Wonderland.
Queen, I'm writing this down. Perfect. Oh, I can hear the temperature.
Again, she also, I mean, there's parts of this that she's taking care of an entire kingdom,
Yeah.
and she is having to, protect them from this crazy growing and shrinking girl and all this other stuff. But she has no sense of the present. So she's just crazily, paranoid and hysterical about everything and makes rash judgments out of fear and panic.
Right. And what's interesting, that's perfect. What's interesting about number 2 is the fear part of our brain, when it's working for us, it actually brings us it keeps us in the present, because it keeps us connected to our intuition and our senses, where when you're really in fear, there's no panic. Everything slows down and you can see clearly, you can hear clearly. And so you can make a decision.
And I also think
it's
very good to have.
Yeah, no, fear is your friend.
A lot of protective instinct, but I think protective instinct is something that should be cultivated, and yes. So that's the positive side of this fear.
But out of balance, it actually clouds your clarity. So you don't have clarity of thought, and you're not connected to your instincts. It's just rash decisions. So it's the Red Queen making off with your head. I could think of a few people I'd like to do that.
Hey.
Okay, so how cool is that? So let's go to the other side of the brain now, which is character number 3. Number 3 is, I think, my favorite. Joy. Yeah. Number 3 is creativity, pure creativity. Look at my voice even change. I went to that place. I like number 3. I think Jill Bolte Taylor used the example. Her number 3 was Pigpen from the Peanuts column, because it just goes around making messes without any care for the consequences. Basically, character number 1 is going to have to clean up that mess, but number 3 doesn't care. It just goes around and it's in the present moment, and it just finds whatever is joyful and follows those breadcrumbs and is really content and very creative, can make anything out of anything. It has imagination and solution oriented, because most of our solutions to our issues in our life actually come through a creative flow. Character 1 and 2 think that they're going to come up with the solutions, but it's really character 3 that has the creativity, that if you allow 3 to come through. So my number 3, and this is dating me, guys, but for those of you who are just good film buffs and movie buffs, Judy Holliday is my number 3. And it's so funny, because I know we have a connection to this, Kalista, but I did a musical in high school called Bells Are Ringing. It was my first lead in a musical, and she was the lead in it, and she's in the movie of it. And she's just this answer phone. She answers phones at Suzanne's phone, and she falls in love with some of her clients, and she creates havoc and chaos with butting into their business, but she has such good intentions, and she loves, and she's so joyful. And Judy Holliday played her, and Judy Holliday encompasses all of it. So anyway, so that's my number 3.
Yeah, and it's funny, because before I knew that, I had instantly thought of the character Billy in Born Yesterday, who is played by Judy Holliday. Right. And in this way of that, I mean, she, eventually wants to better herself and learn more about her country and all that, and that's fun for her, and she's flirting with this handsome guy, but that she doesn't seem to really give a crap if like her big old scary boyfriend and all his horribleness, and even when he's abusive and all that, she's just kind of like, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And just that thing where she just carries around the transistor radio and bops humming to herself to the
She's a big flirt. I love her.
Track, and it's just like whatever, and sign these things, and then, well, no, you can't do that, and I'm going to do it this way, and I'm going to do it my way, and I'm going to just do what I think is right, and I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to do my thing. But it's also then it's a concept that friends of mine and I think a lot of kind of hippie freaks have talked about, which is also yesness. This idea of yesness, which is just this, like,
say yes.
just say yes, and
Right.
hey, it might turn out that I'm on the side of the road, but hey, yes,
I said yes.
sure, yes, just
Yeah.
yesness, and that, and
Yeah, it
that's
can.
actually, yeah, and it kind of reminded me also of Penny Lane from Almost Famous.
Oh, good.
She's just kind of that perfectly, like,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
doing her thing, and I mean, obviously eventually gets hurt, but but just, I don't know, just seeking the joy, just just being like,
So which one did you decide on?
I like Billy, but I've been thinking.
Okay, so you're Billy.
Billy.
Is that a Billy with an IE?
IE, yes.
I love that. That's perfect. So that's that sense of joy without any consequence. And it's wherever it leads you. And if it creates problems for other people, oh, so sorry. Yeah, I immediately got into that one. Okay, so that's number 3. Now we have moved on to the right side of the brain, because that's all creativity and flow and all that. Now number 4 is really quite beautiful, and depending on your beliefs. Number 4 is basically the all. It's connected to the eternal. It's your sense of source, nature. It's just pure beingness. In fact, I can't find a name for mine. Mine's very spiritual to me, so I call mine nameless knowing. And it's that.
Say that again for us, Liz. I love that one.
Nameless knowing. And it's when you are in the seat of your consciousness. You really are in your self-led energy, your self-leadership. It's that mother, it's that goddess energy that is courageous, confident, and calm, has compassion. Oh, see, there goes my voice. I've gone into character. Curious. So it just had all of these other characters are its children, basically. So anyway, that's my 4. In like, I suppose you could take the Star Wars trilogy. Well, it's beyond trilogy.
Characters.
Like it would be Yoda, right? Or Obi-Wan Kenobi. It could even be. Depends on everybody's personal what your relationship is to that kind of energy. So what comes up for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, and we were talking about this, and I think that part of it is that what I tend to call it in general is the universe, but that I felt wasn't enough of a character for me. And so I came up with the Ents, which are the trees in the Lord of the Rings series of books and movies. But that are always connected and always there, and protected, but not really involved exactly. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of have to come to it on your own. They're not going to interject, that there has to be I don't know, just something about the tree and the idea of trees as my spiritual connection to the world.
Well, don't they? They take from above and and from below, and they give back, and it's like they complete a cycle. A tree always is, for me, the connection from earth to heaven. It's like the tree is that. Plus, the whole innate wisdom of a tree. I love the question: how does a tree know how to grow?
Yeah.
That tells you what deep knowingness is. So how do you spell Ents?
ENTS.
ENTS. So it's the trees. I love it. Okay, so we have our 4 characters. Okay, so hopefully you all have come up with something, or just use ours for now until you can. It took me a couple of days to really identify it. So here's what we want to do with it, because she actually uses this in what she calls a brain huddle. Shut up. So here's an
You want to
example.
do the story first?
I'm going to do the story. I'm going to tell about how she, then I'll tell you what this is explaining what the brain huddle is. So this is from her book, and forgive me when you read it, because you'll go, wow, you didn't really say this exactly how she said it, but it's my memory of it, which is, you know, a little COVID memory. Not that I have COVID. It's just I'm in the era of
Liz's
COVID.
eyes is how we see all this stuff.
Yeah.
Through your brain, you interpret these things.
Yeah, my interpretation, if I can remember this story correctly, and maybe I'm paraphrasing it and expanding on it, but hey, so she let's just take she took the example of going to a store and buying a shirt, getting to the car and realizing, oh, it's stained. There's a stain on this shirt. There's a mark on it. Now what do we do? I'm on my way home. And so here's an example of how the characters came into play for her. First, character number 1 was like, this is incorrect. This is not right. We need to go in and speak to that clerk and tell him why he's wrong, and lecture to him and make sure that he goes and personally gets us a new shirt. And here's my receipt. And, you know, just really criticize, really punish that one for being wrong, right? Character number 2 just wants to go in and get that guy fired, because it's more of a paranoid, like, you did this on purpose. You knew you were doing this.
Right, you're a bad person.
You're a bad person. I'm going to go to your manager. I'm going to get you fired. You know, I'm just off with your head. Character 3 is like, well, you know, if you tie it at the waist, you don't even see the stain, and it's kind of cute. Maybe we should just go home, because I like it like this. It just doesn't care.
Put on the shirt, eat ice cream.
Yeah, it actually is kind of cute this way. So we're gonna like let's not even bother. And then 4 just wants to come in and put its arms around all of them and say, what's our intention? What is it that we want to get out of this? Do we want the new shirt, but do we want to hold boundaries with love, perhaps? So this is the predicament. And this is what she calls a brain huddle, where you allow each character to have a voice, which I kind of just gave you. And so here's she has an acronym called BRAIN, BRAIN. Wow. I'm going to write it down for you guys. So the B stands for breathe. First, when a situation comes up, breathe, take a breath. That's the most important thing. Get back into your body. Okay. The R is recognize which character is in charge. Which character leaped to the front of the bus and took over the steering wheel?
Who's driving the bus?
So recognize. Because everybody's going to be different. Everybody's going to have one that will be their default. Like mine's always number 1. Number 1 wants to make everything right, and you're wrong, I'm right. You know, I want to fix it. This is like,
I'm the best driver. I should drive.
But there will other people who immediately go to number 2. Like, it's like, how dare they do this to me? It's because of blah, 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 blah. So that's recognize which one's there. So, and then A is acknowledge that particular character's gifts. Okay. Because every one of these, they need to be valued. They need to be acknowledged. So it's even as quickly as, if it's, say it's number 2 is the one that went, you know, 4 alarm, say, look, I understand that you're here to protect me and to make sure I'm safe and I'm alive, but this is not a life and death situation. So it's okay. We have this. Like, I think as a group, we can figure this out. And it just calm it down. So recognize it, acknowledge what it does so it can settle. And then you go to inquire, which is then ask for each character to give it say. what might happen.
The group meeting of it all.
Group meeting. And the N is for navigate. So navigate, make an executive decision as to which character should be the one to take over. And in this case, her little brain huddle, which happens really quickly, guys. Once you get this, you're like, oh, this is number one. Number one, just go in, get it fixed without, but 4 kind of came in and went, boundaries with love. Like, maybe the guys, nobody did this on purpose. You'll be okay. You're still alive. So anyway, that was just her example of a really quick like situation that came up. Yeah. Which I kind of found it fun because you can then identify where other people are coming from. This helps in relationships. You can, if 2 people are both if they're having a fight and they're each in their character too, like nothing's going to get resolved until one of them takes a breath and invites character 4 in to, like, maybe we need a little reset here, reframe something, time out, let's go back, let's bring character 4 in and whatever. But one of you is going to have to do that. Giving up the need to be right, that's what character 4 is. Everybody, connects everybody. So that's kind of it's a great thing to just an awareness where, maybe that think about where that clerk was. Maybe that clerk was off, his character 1 was off that day and he was trying to do too much or something. But anyway, it's kind of an interesting one. And a really quick thing that I got from Martha Beck, which she used this whole example as well. And it's a creativity hack. And this was kind of a cool exercise that if you find yourself anxious about like money or where your next job is coming from, since all I know are people who live as gypsy actor people, to recognize, okay, what is that? I'm anxious. I don't know where the next job's coming in, and I'm fearful, and I need this money to pay my American Express card. What am I going to do? Recognize, oh wait, this is character 2 having a panic attack. Right. Take a breath and invite your character 4 to come in and just wrap its little tree arms around your red queen, and with, hey, it's okay, I promise, we're here, we're going to work it out together, there's a solution, today you have a roof over your head, there's ways to happen, you've done it before, and it just let it calm down. So it's being embraced and nurtured, cared for, listened to. And as you're doing that, notice where character 3 is. Maybe it's peeking its head around the corner. And just see if you can allow character 3 to come out and just watch it. Let it wander. Just feel that energy. Just the whole idea is to make space for it. Make space for your number 3 by calming down your 2 with your character 4. but that's where all the solutions lie, is in your creativity.
Yeah, right on. That's awesome. That's awesome. And thanks, Martha Beck, for the ending.
Yeah, I love Martha Beck for that one.
Bring it all back to where we all get truth bumps. Yes. Well, that's awesome. I think that's a perfect place for us to at least, let's say, pause this discussion for the moment. But yeah, thanks, Liz. That's a good one. That's a good one. And I think that throughout this now that we have that in our new lexicon, that throughout this new season, we can continue to refer back to these characters and allow us to have a shorthand so that we can get more done in a shorter amount of time. Because
I love it. Have that brain huddle, man.
Yeah.
It's just so nice when you have space for all these 4 different characters to have an existence and a life, and there's separation between really who your deeper essential self is. You know, they're just parts that
figuring it out.
Have a job.
Hey, you got a job. Excellent. Well, thank you all for joining us for our season premiere of Let's All Feel Better. And on behalf of the great Liz Kiefer and myself, Kalista Sale Parrish, we'd like to remind you that you can follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Let's All Feel Better, or watch us on our YouTube channel, also Let's All Feel Better. And we will be coming back at you with more to come this season.
Yeah, more inspiration, more creativity hacks. I think that the idea is to allow this space for our creative solutions to come through as we move forward in all of this change.
I love it.
Yeah,
I absolutely
thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening.